It's shot in the Sierra Nevada mountains in California, and it's off my porch of my main house, and you see the Kaczynski reproduction in the shot, and then off screen to the right, about 50 meters away, would be the Thoreau hut in an entirely different kind of vegetation, so they look very much like two different places, yet they're very close together.
And is the vegetation in this film similar to the one in Montana? Have you ever been there?
Yeah, he lived outside of Lincoln, Montana, and it's where I live. It's a bit drier, so there's still a kind of feel of desert in the mountains, and of course Montana doesn't have that where he was. It's much more closer to being a rainforest. But the hills that the mountain that you see in the background very much looks like the mountainside in Montana.
The order of the 4 seasons that you show is kind of unconventional, because you start with spring, then autumn, then winter, then summer. What was the reason for this choice?
I'm using. In the very beginning, I use a very early journal of his that goes through all the seasons, and it starts in, I think I will start in like November, and it goes till the summer of the year after that. So it's going through the seasons. So I wasn't interested in replicating kind of a circular path around the year. I wanted to kind of jump around, because I'm taking parts of what he's written and then jump around with those. I didn't want to make something look literal, like this shot is to this text, this shot is to this text. So by rearranging them, and also the sunset I shot in the summertime, and I knew I wanted to end with that, so I thought starting fall, winter, spring would be rather unusual too.
Are there any questions in the audience? Yes, please. Can you wait for the microphone?
Yeah, thank you for inviting us to these 2 hours of reflection, which I really appreciated that. You might know that there is a German saying which goes in German, ich sehe den Wald vor lauter Bäumen nicht. I can't see the wood because of all these trees, and that, to me, that seems to reflect quite well the mind of this person. And I was wondering why you decided on lending your own voice to his unreflected, cliched, and black and white ranting against society.
Well, I have a different view of his ranting. So I use my own voice because I somewhat am affected by the things that he wrote. I don't believe in violence, and I don't believe in his methods, but I am a bit concerned of his concerns of where the society's going, the kind of control that's happening, the kind of corporate positioning that's taking place. I work in a very exciting experimental art school that now has wanting to have a corporate image, and it's something I'm fighting against, and I think I see it happening more and more and more. So I think we get further away from the important things of life and what autonomy is, and I think Kaczynski speaks very directly to having his own autonomy. And how important that is, and how difficult that's getting in the world we're in today. So those kinds of things I believe in, so I lend my voice to that. I don't lend my voice to kind of random killing. But if I'm going to complain about random killing, I think I would complain about my own government's use of drones, etc., 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 and its history of indiscriminate violence, and how that seems acceptable for governments but not for individuals. So I hope that this film makes one question those things.
Yeah. Up there.
May I ask how much these pictures are, I just say manipulated, maybe I don't mean that word. Did you compose them, or are they just one shot? What is composed and what is...
Yeah, well, of course, all pictures are manipulated. As soon as you point a camera in a direction, you're making a choice, and you're making a choice what to leave out and what to put in. In this case, I made the choice to make a frame that would be similar in all four cases. They're not exactly alike. I wasn't interested in positioning the camera in exactly the same place with the same focal length, etc. But I was interested in being approximately that. And as far as manipulation, there's color corrections, things like that, like most filmmakers do. They're all shot in sync sound, and then the soundtracks are slightly manipulated, and when some kind of extraneous noises happen that I didn't like, I would remove them, and then I added a few extraneous noises myself to relate to some of the text that's being spoken. So yes, they're highly manipulated, like all films.
May I ask whether the helicopter was one of those extraneous sounds?
That I'll never admit to. Yes, it is.
Christoph?
Yeah. Yes, please.
But I must add, there's helicopters that fly over my place, and there's two kinds. One, and they both bring a kind of fear. One is, generally it means it's forest fighting with helicopters dropping water, or it's the local police looking for marijuana pot growers in the national forest nearby. And so it's either a fire that's occurring or some kind of arrest is going to be made.
Hi, up here. Well, I'd like to thank you for the movie as well, and I'd like to make two comments. First, that I was very shocked how much of the manifesto you read I would underscore without questioning anything, apart from the lamentable tendency to kill people.
Yeah, to get published.
But it really shocked me that somebody like Ted Kaczynski would basically express feelings and thoughts I tend to have a lot. That's the first. And the second, I'd like to ask if the project you mentioned with the two cabins of Henry Thoreau and Ted Kaczynski, if you'd like to make a point that they both are something like two sides of a coin, both apparently living in the woods, and both seeking beauty and closeness to nature, and the one producing beauty and the other one producing disaster.
Yeah, but it isn't quite as clear-cut as that. Thoreau, besides being a transcendentalist and known for his writings on nature, was also an activist and very much against slavery, and supported the position of John Brown, who was a terrorist during his time. He gave money to John Brown. He actually helped slaves escape to Canada. He also helped some of John Brown's people that escaped from the attack on Harper's Ferry escape to Canada, and if he would have been caught, he would have been hung for treason also. So Thoreau and Kaczynski have some things in common on both sides of the coin. So the whole project is kind of a consideration of how those two people are very different but also the same in many ways.
And is it correct that Kaczynski also built his cabin as a replica of the original Walden cabin?
It's approximately the same size and shape. The windows are small.